Hello and welcome to the last video in Chapter 2. Congratulations, if you've made it this far, you're obviously working pretty hard. Alright, so let's jump right into the applications. These are the word problems that are a little bit harder because you have to think about all the stuff you've learned and then apply it. Let's jump right into it here. This particular question says, how many syringes, each containing 3/5 milliliters, can a clinical pharmacist fill from a 30-meter vial? All right, the reason I put a box around this is what I want when I'm done with this question. All right, you have to understand the problem, and that's the first thing you should do whenever there's a word problem. Understand, what will I have found when I'm done? What will I have found when I'm done? You will have found how many syringes, each of which are 3/5 milliliters, that a pharmacist can fill from a 30-meter vial. Okay, let's draw a little picture to make sure we understand what's happening here. Picture this. This is a vial full of liquid. And a pharmacist has a whole bunch of syringes. Needle here. Okay, and he takes the needle, he puts it in there, and he takes out 3/5. So he subtracts 3/5. And then he does it again. Subtracts another 3/5, and he does it again, 3/5, and on and on and on and on and on. And he does that until he has a whole bunch of syringes, and this is empty. And I know that the total amount in there is 30 milliliters. That's what the question said right there. Okay, so notice he's doing repeated subtraction. He's taking away the same amount over and over, or he is grouping the 30 milliliters into groups of 3/5. That's division. Division you can think of as repeated subtraction. Repeat subtraction. If you subtract the same number over and over, or you can think regroup. You're putting in groups of 3/5. How many would there be? Okay, so you have basically 30 milliliters divided by 3/5. And then if you recall how we learned to do that, remember you don't have a calculator yet, so we need to be able to do this without the calculator. And kind of the short trick or shortcut I told you was keep, change, change, where you take the first number and you keep it the same, 30. You change the division to multiplication, and you change that fraction to its reciprocal, which would be 5/3. So you have 30 times 5/3. Now, the next thing we learned was to look for common factors in the numerator and denominator, and there's one in the 30 and the 3. Because I can go 3 divided by 3, and I can go 30 divided by 3. That's taking out a common factor, which reduces that to 10. And you have 10 times 5 right there. Down on the bottom you have 3 divided by 3 is 1. On the bottom you have 1 times 1. So watch what happens. Again, 10 times 5 is 50. 1 times 1 is 1. The answer here is 50 syringes. And that's it. You got it right. It's a division problem. And we're happy. We got it right. And then let's look at the very last question, the last slide for Chapter 2. Yay! Naya knits winter scarves for a boutique. After she knits 63 inches of a scarf, 7/8 of the scarf is complete. What is the total length of this scarf? All right, well, again, let's begin with the end in mind. What are we trying to solve for? That, again, understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to find the total length of this scarf. Here's what you know. You have, at the moment, 63 inches, which is also 7/8 of the scarf. Pardon my bad handwriting. So this scarf really is a little bit longer, but I know that 63 inches is 7/8. So think of it like this. 7/8 of the total length, I cannot spell, length is 63. Okay? 7/8 of the total length is 63. Well, we don't know what the total length is, so that's going to be our variable. And we also know that the variable happens to be this thing that we are trying to find. So if we can find x, we will have found the total length of the scarf. So watch this, 7/8. Do you remember what of stands for in math? We talked about that in an earlier video. Of means multiply. Total length, that's the unknown. Is, what do you think is means in math? Equals. Is, it's the same thing. It equals 63. So notice what we have now. We have 7/8 times x equals 63. Now to recall how to solve an equation when it's a fraction times a variable. Magic word, reciprocal. From an earlier video when we introduced division, we talked about reciprocal meaning the product of two numbers that is 1. So, and then you probably remember it by flipping the number. If I take 7/8 and multiply that times 8/7, that equals 1. You're left with x. You have 1x. That's what you're trying to find, the length of one scarf. One scarf is what that means. One scarf. Okay, now since I multiplied 8/7 on this side, you have to do the same thing over here, times 8/7. So over here you have some work to do. You have 63 times 8/7. Okay, remember the rule of canceling out the common factors? See the 7 here? Okay, well, 63 divided by 7 is 9. So we can divide that by 7. We can divide that by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. You end up with 9 times 8, which is, sorry, we're working downhill. We want to work down the page when we do math. 9 times 8 is 72. Then you have 1 times 1, which is 1. So the answer to the question, the total length of the scarf is 72 inches. Does that make sense? If I know that 63 inches is 7/8 of the scarf, doesn't it seem like the actual length would be maybe just a little bit longer than 63? Something like 72, and it is. And that's the solution. So this particular video will not have questions following it. So this is the last thing we do, but you will have questions in my math lab when you get doing the homework. So take it, review it as necessary, and hopefully it's all making sense to you. And when you wrap this up, you want to start heading into Chapter 3. See ya.